I tried to get a women's match, so obviously it was going to be the 2010s and the 2020s. Yeah. And then looking back...
What about, oh, baby, why not that?
No!
Hello and welcome back to the only podcast that exclusively rebooks, reviews and reimagines the worst of wrestling's past. We are Better Call Creative, and as ever I am joined to my left by Jack Chance.
Hello.
And to my right by the man who holds the power. It is our birthday boy himself. It is Sam Chan.
Hello.
I like that you wave.
Hello.
I can see you.
Yes, it's an audio podcast.
They're not at work.
Happy birthday.
Yes, but it is Sam's 34th birthday. Yes, I got it. It's his...
Eventually.
Yeah.
34.
30, insert number here. It is Sam's 34th birthday today, on June the 7th, and we are giving him the power to pick 6 matches, but in true Better Call Creative style. We're doing it in a very arse-over-tit manner.
Fuck me over with some of these.
Where we are only allowing him to pick one match from each decade dating back to the 70s. But not only that, he must pick a match that happened in the month of his birth, which was June.
I thought you were going to say that actually happened on my birthday. I was going to say you really put me over there.
Well, that would be really difficult, wouldn't it, really?
Well, there's a couple of Raws I could have done.
Well, you'd have to have just done them all, wouldn't you, really?
Yeah.
I mean,
we saw the Nexus debut on one. We saw when Big Show chokeslam Taker through the ring. That was on mine in 1990.
Oh, you had quite a good birthday. I think Jericho debuted on my birthday.
It was.
Nothing happened on mine.
No, yours is the road to WrestleMania as well, really.
Probably had a bomb.
Well, yeah, you know, highlights.
Don't worry, you share a birthday with Val Venus. That's all.
Was it the Raw Bowl?
Oh no, I had.
That was the first one in '96.
I had the last SmackDown before COVID.
Oh, brilliant!
Braun and the NWO having a random fucking
oh my god
spot. That's my highlight.
Fantastic. So yes, Sam, you have jumped in to your very own time machine. So do tell us where we are going for match number 1.
For match number 1, because it's probably the only one that I could have got from the 70s. You go to 1979.
Oh my god.
I can't remember which day in June. There's 30 to pick from, and I don't know.
It was June 19th.
June 19th. Thank you, Jack. For the now defunct, but no, that's back, the North American title.
It is, yeah.
But it was the precursor to the Intercontinental, because they said there was a match between a North American and a South American champion.
But there wasn't.
There wasn't. And then it ended up in the tournament.
Yeah.
It is Ted Dibiase, not quite $1 million man. I think the state of Virginia had got his millions at that point.
Oh dear.
Or he'd got them back, I don't know.
Versus
Pat!
Pat!
To the shop.
To the shop. Get yourself a wizard. Right. So, yes, we are going to be checking this out. This match is actually in full on YouTube, I believe. So I'll post this link out with the podcast itself if you do want to check it out. It's our North American champion across the ring from his challenger, which is one Pat Patterson, who is managed by the Grand Wizard. He gets a chorus of boos as well, so he's heel in this time.
He was gay and all. Earlier off. No, he was.
What a Grand Wizard.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was. No, he was. I think he come out after he
died. That's brilliant. You know back in the day as well. I mean, they get them two together.
It's winner. I love it.
And I think from what Ted said, I don't think the WWF had a North American title. They just did it to him.
I know he was the first.
He was
and
the
then
first.
The second one was Pat, and then that was it.
And then that's it, because I think the Inter come in '79, they?
Yeah, September was when
they had that tournament.
So in Burgundy, we've got Ted.
I thought you were going to say in Birmingham.
Not in Birmingham. He's our champ, and the champ is a fan favourite. So much so that someone's took a cardboard sign telling you it's the champ. So there you go. Pat jumps Ted to start at the bell. The fans are not happy with this, but we get babyface fire from Ted as he backs up Pat and whips him across the ring. The fans do love a knee drop from Ted. Pat begs off, but eats a drop kick to the outside. Wizard needs to work his magic.
Hey.
Finally, we get to hear who Vince McMahon's co-commentator is. It's I
thought it was just Vince, but that is Bruno.
Yeah, Bruno just pops in. They give...
he wore champ at this point, was it? Bruno?
79? I don't think so.
I think it must have been Bob, hadn't it? Bob Woody, because it was 84 and he held for about 70
77 was Graham. Then it was Bob after that, yeah.
I mean, you know, you're going to have to go some Roman. If they really are thinking they want a proper making record breaking, Jesus Christ, he's going to be holding the belt for a long old time. Eh? We might be 400 episodes in by the time he's...
What a big Bruno.
Jesus. Anyway, the commentary team give Ted little chance of winning with his arm hold, but Bruno does justify working the arm. Ted gives a good old shake of the arm, and there's a few more arm drags working the arm with the knees. I mean, you've got to appreciate it for what it is, but he does work the hold. That's what they did back in the 70s, when they get a hold, work it. The crowd pop as Pat misses a headbutt, and that. I tell you what, he's very animated when he wrestles in Pat. The certain mannerisms.
It was quite good.
Yeah.
Even like as a stooge, it was just the same.
Yeah, he can bump, Corey.
Yeah,
Pat, he takes a bump. And Ted as well, he takes a really good back body drop when he like tilts his head, doesn't he? And whenever I think of Ted taking bumps, I always think of like the clothesline he used to take to the outside where
when he goes all the way over and then lands on his
back. He's got a really good way of selling, I think. Pat suckers Ted in and sends him crashing through the middle ropes, and then he smashes Ted's head on the judge's table. I didn't think that was that hardcore back then, but the crowd...
No, Jack Tunney. He was a judge. I know it was the 80s, he would have been around.
Can you imagine if they'd have had the voice back then if Jack Tunney was a coach? He'd have done the...
I'm going to turn back round.
I'm taking you to Hollywood. Anyway, there's a pop anyway when Ted gives Pat a bit of his own medicine and smashes his head. Lovely punches, and Pat now takes a back body drop, not quite as clean as Ted. Ref bump as Pat shoves Ted into him. The crowd are absolutely rabid as Pat grabs a foreign object, clocks Ted in the face. Really old school heel stuff. Easy, simple psychology. And Pat Patterson is our new North American champion. The crowd fucking angry.
I'm so upset.
Sam, we might as well start with you because you've got us here in your time machine. What do you
Again, I didn't have much to it. But it was a good match. Obviously, when you think of watching things in the 70s, you know, it's hard to watch it.
You could have ended up with a Big Daddy match.
Yeah, well, I did try. Honestly, that link you sent me, I looked and there was nothing in June. I mean, a couple of the years, there was absolutely nothing. It went from like May to July.
Yeah, they had June off.
Bastards.
That's because the World of Sport one probably went on. Really, because if it was on World of Sport, then probably had the football finish.
Yeah, bastards.
Rhubarb
anyway,
was on all
this was a good match. Fairly fast paced for the time.
Yeah.
The one thing I don't like about the 70s watching the WWF, I hate the fucking ring. It's so low.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the Grand Wizard looked 7 foot tall that time.
He did have a big hat.
But it's sort of like now, like when somebody stood outside, they looked sort of like the forehead with the bottom rope, whereas here it's sort of like could have just.
I know what you mean, because when he throws him out, he's like throwing through the bottom and the middle.
I didn't looking
again, it's just what it was at the time. And it was a taping, I assume.
I'd imagine anyway, back then it was more around, you know, there's no trons, there's no video. It's got to be as low to the ground as possible, so everybody
can see it. Yeah. So that again, but again, it's just something I just don't like. Back then,
you're accustomed to watching wrestling a certain way, aren't you? Which is natural.
But it was a good match.
I really enjoyed it. I think it gives me an appreciation for how good both of these workers were. But obviously Ted especially, because he's the rookie, I suppose, in this.
Back then, yeah.
And he hung with Pat Patterson, who was probably a fairly high-level star, really well in the match.
I think
probably the right
winner. Before Hogan later, Ted. When Hogan hadn't come in as a heel.
As a heel.
And it's weird seeing Ted without his beard.
It is weird, but he actually wrestles quite well as a babyface, isn't he? Because you're so you don't think, and he's not a babyface because he's going to go to jail. But
no, I think it's his son.
But yeah,
he definitely had a babyface.
Oh dear,
he's got a podcast now, Ted.
Has he?
Yeah,
is it about God?
No, it's just called Everybody's Got a Pod.
Yeah, but here they have.
Got a pod.
I don't know who does it, but it just comes up on my feed.
Everybody's got a God.
I liked it. So, Jack?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. They don't do anything too over the top, which you don't expect anyway in the 70s, but it was simple, got to the end what they wanted of Pat being the new champion, kept Ted strong, gave him the babyface fire. I enjoyed it. I liked it.
I think Ted went back to Mid-South after this. So I think he was in round.
Yeah, because I think he turned. Did he turn heel in Mid-South before WWE picked him up?
Or he must have when he went back. Because I know this was sort of just like a little. No.
Did he turn on the dog or did he turn on Duggan?
He turned on Dog. No, he must have turned on Dog and then he did turn on Duggan later because they had the Rat Pack there.
And you've been caught.
We've got to do a bit of Mid-South. It sounds
that was one of the matches I tried for the 80s, but there was only the two, and I thought, and I couldn't get them on the network or anything, so that was only on the DVD. So.
Well, that's not a bad start. Where are we heading next in our time machine?
Right, we're going to go to the 2020s, because again, this is another hard... considering that I was in the middle of all of the pandemic, so there's nobody moved. And I wish Elia v. Walter happened in June and not fucking October, because I'd have picked that.
It also happened in August, so briefly wait for that.
That was the takeover match. I was on about the NXT UK match, so I watched that again this morning.
You might see that anyway, in August.
This match, I tried to get a woman's match, so obviously it was going to be the 2010s or the 2020s. Yeah. And then looking back...
What about, oh baby, why not that?
No.
That was a bit funny.
No.
I got Volcano in the 90s.
I am not having...
Did Jarrett fight the winner in July?
Did it?
Or
June even. So.
I'd love that.
No, I think that was September. That's September, October. Thank God.
So what are we seeing then, Sam?
Right, we're going to Hell in a Cell 2021.
Yes.
With Bianca Belair versus Bayley.
Yes. You could have. I don't know whether Hell in the Cell happened the same month the year before. But Bayley was in the Hell in the Cell match the year before against Sasha, wasn't she?
Yeah, because they harkened back to it with a spot with some kendo sticks.
And I had never watched this match until watching it for this podcast.
It wasn't a bad match. Wasn't a bad match. So we.
It's hard for you, to be fair, because you just don't watch wrestling there.
Exactly. I mean, I could have picked Cody v. Seth. That happened last June. But I kept trying to get a tag match, a woman's match.
Yeah,
so
it was try and build a card.
Yeah, so it's like, fucking hell.
Right, so we do get a build for this match, which, to be honest, does really show off the heel work of Bayley, the laughing.
Did they break her leg, or or injured herself not long after this day?
Well, there's out pretty much till SummerSlam.
Still following SummerSlam.
Yeah. But one of the success stories of the COVID era is the emergence of heel Bayley, I think. Thunderdome era, which, again, when we talk about worst matches at the end, unfortunately, it might play a part. We get our ring walks and we're ready.
Than there's just nobody there in the...
wait.
At least you can see.
It's difficult, though, isn't it? It's just really difficult.
It's just
wrestling.
The time.
Wrestling just needs a crowd.
Yeah.
But we have got Pat McAfee and Michael Cole on.
I was happy about that, Pat McAfee.
Good old Pat.
He did make a surprise return like he does every time.
What? Pat's here!
Oh my God! He's obviously here to the show.
Bayley brings a steel chair into play early on and goes proper.
Bayley was dressed as Foley as well, wasn't he?
Oh, was that?
The jacket looked like the flannel.
Yeah, I get it. That might have been because they did this quite a lot, didn't they?
Yeah.
She plays heel anyway, stopping Bianca getting a chair each time. But despite this, she never quite gets to the advantage whilst using the hair. Actually, Bianca uses the hair, her hair to whip the chair, and then drop kicks the chair into Bayley. God, that was awful. Bianca.
Gotta do that again.
No, leave it in.
Right,
Bianca flips away impressively, and Bianca's head is sent into the ring post and then shoulder first into the opposite one. Bayley now works the arm of Bianca. She attacks the arm with a drop down onto it. The steps are dragged into play now, and one of the things about Bayley during this era is that if she can, she's always going to trash talk Michael Cole.
Shut up, Michael.
Which is brilliant. As Bianca trips Bayley arse first onto the steps. Bayley recovers though, and she ties Bianca's hair to the bottom ropes. And this is part of the story arc throughout the match, where she's neutralising the effect of the hair, I suppose. But it backfires, and Bayley is tripped by the hair onto the steps. Bianca baseball slides Bayley into the steel. Bayley then bites the arm of Bianca.
Pat McAfee's brilliant.
Did she penetrate the skin?
Metal scrape jaw. Oh, she's biting her. She just bit her. Well, Bayley doing everything she can, pulling out all the stops. It's legal, but it's not cool to bite another human. Well, it's legal, though, in this matchup. Did she penetrate skin? Well, nonetheless, Belair is in deep, deep trouble.
We're in a pandemic, goddammit.
It's fucking beautiful.
It is brilliant. That really made me laugh when he was like, she bit her. Goddamn bit her.
He's so right over the top. He's brilliant.
He got breathed a lot of life into the commentary.
If you didn't, especially
he's a bit
because
more tolerable than Mauro Ranallo. He was too not Mauro Ranallo. What's his name?
Mauro Ranallo, yeah.
That was it. He was too over the top. Whereas Pat, I think, is just
I think
the right
Pat's
level
got
of over the
because
top.
his colour.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
Totally
when
right.
it's play-by-play.
And that's the problem. If you're the play-by-play and you're over the top, then you overshadow your colour, and the colour is the one that should be
That's
adding
your
colour.
colour. Yeah,
That's the nature
that's
of
the
colour.
point.
Kendo stick is to the belly, and we're told that this kendo stick is two kendo sticks, which has been sellotaped together. As someone who watches wrestling, Jack, do you want to explain to us what they're talking about when they go on about she's learned from her past?
She tried to do a spot the year before with two kendo sticks to Sasha to drive her through them, but when she put them under the ring and into the cell, it kept falling out. So she stepped over it and knocked it out, basically.
Oh,
When she
I
went
thought it was
to the ring,
like maybe
yeah,
she
they'd already been fucked
pull
up.
the stick
Got
out,
it.
and then she got it with it or something like that.
Nah.
Not that she botched the spot.
Yeah.
Botched the spot the year before.
Oh, right, fair enough.
She does hit a nice sunset flip sort of toss into the cage. The Bayley character work for the heel persona is so good. She does, as Jack said, set up the kendo sticks on the outside, but they are sellotaped together. She tells Cole to shut up because they all know this.
Yeah.
I didn't. Either.
Yeah.
We would have known this if she'd have just let Cole explain.
Yeah, we would have gone, hang on a minute, now we know. They all watch me, now we know.
But Bayley is obviously spine busted through the sticks because that's what happens. She's a heel. Bayley gets her feet up.
Those who set it up have to go
Of course. Bayley gets her feet up to kick the chair into Bianca. Bayley then goes back to the arm work. She uses the chair to smash Bianca's arm. She sits down, and this is quite a nice heel spot as she again locks the braid in and chokes her with her foot. But Bayley gets the chair up onto the knee of Bayley and starts targeting the knee. One of the things now is that she's selling the leg. Bianca chooses to use the braid now herself and ties Bayley's arm to it so she can't escape, and she punishes her around the cell with the kendo stick and she throws her into the cage. Bayley now is chicken shit heel, wants out of the cage, but the ref's like, nope, Fuck off.
That's the attitude area. Don't do it up there.
Ladder is, this is one of the things I've got an issue with Hell in the Cells nowadays.
It's just a weapons, man.
You like every Hell in the Cell that I watch at the moment seems to have a ladder spot, and it's like, well,
you got a ladder match for that.
When's the ladder match going to be? You know what I mean?
Everything's too melded together.
Yeah, I don't know whether.
Cell don't mean much now, does it?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, it should always be I think that's why they're gearing to rest. This was probably the last.
Well, it should always be a feud ender or a chicken shit heels trying to escape the chorus again.
Yeah, exactly. Although they did do that, and they just went to the ladder.
They did one at Mania.
Yeah, they did this year, which obviously they had to stop because of blood.
And a ladder spot.
Yeah, which had a ladder spot, of course it did. The ladder is dragged in and into the ribs of Bianca. Bianca's power is reversed onto her because she sort of runs the ladder into her ribs again. Bianca's trapped between the ladder and Bayley stands on it. Bayley hits her, is it called Rhodes plant?
Yes.
Yes,
it is.
Oh, listen.
Who was listening?
Oh, listen. But has to sell the knee, so she can't quite get the cover, which is sensible to keep the move strong. Bianca survives anyway. Glam Slam is teased, but Bayley is face planted. Bayley sells a senton on the ladder and a KOD onto the ladder that's set up. Retains the title for Bianca Belair.
I don't realise the KOD meant kiss of death.
No,
I don't know. I thought it was just like KO. So like KOD.
King of the Death Match.
No.
That's what it means for me.
So when they said kiss of death and did it,
Ain't that what Zandig did to Thingy off the cage?
Exactly.
Well, it was Mark
King of the Death Match. They are referencing Zandig. This is a Zandig mark.
Maybe she should. She should have come out in just a big pair of jeans with a gut hanging.
And you're a fag.
You're gonna die!
When she got hit with a KOD, she should have gone out. Jesus! Sam, thoughts on this match?
I liked it. I was surprised, if I'm honest, because again, I really watched
a lot of wrestling.
That
doesn't have N or W
or A. Not on YouTube. But you can't go wrong with these two. No. It was better than I thought, because I was thinking, is this going to be the weakest one? Maybe, but still good. And I was glad Pat McAfee was on as well. Yeah, I couldn't remember if he was still commentating or already just come on yet. But yeah, I liked it. It's just a shame they always have to resort to weapons now in Hell in a Cell.
Yep, totally.
That's the only thing.
I put these. I think that they really worked really hard. Bayley's heel character came through really well. She did actually do a lot of work when you think about it to legitimately put over the babyface Bianca. I think Bianca's got a certain charisma, but where she benefited, where Liv Morgan didn't, is the work of the heels that she was working with. Yeah. I always felt that the heels that they put with against Liv Morgan they kind of didn't help. They had more of a cool factor, whereas Bayley is...
Ronda!
No, I know, but even Ronda's heel... Ronda's heel is different to Bayley's heel, where even if you like Bayley and Bayley's a star, you still want to see her get her ass kicked. I don't think you necessarily want Ronda to get her ass kicked because she is a badass. You just kind of think, she's being thrown down. Yeah. You ain't as good as the other wrestlers. That's what
it weakens her.
Yeah. Exactly. I think any match that you pick between 2020 and 2021 is always going to be ruined by the fact that there's no crowd there. And this match did suffer by not having a live crowd. But I thought the story they told was pretty good. It was solid enough. I like the hair being used, Bayley being a bully and then a chicken. The same match was well. And it's the right winner. I'm sure... thankfully, Bayley isn't like Sasha Banks and throws title belts down because she doesn't win matches. I mean, sometimes you've just got to accept in wrestling. Your character might be strong enough to lose every single week. Yeah. Ric Flair was champion for years, never won a match. So,
the Sasha thing's mad. You know, they left because they was going to win a match.
Yeah, because they were tag champs, and you was going to both.
Well, it was stupid booking to be fair. I don't think it's enough to walk out, but you don't know all the facts.
No, we don't know all the facts, but it does tire me out. A lot of these wrestlers not recognising that no one really gives a shit about wins and losses. The only people.
Zelina Vega had a title match. She hadn't won a match. since she come
She
back.
had a match.
Since she come back like as the LWO woman and everything. She hadn't won a match.
But that pop match she had justified the reason.
Exactly,
anyway.
yeah,
That's all
I
it
mean.
means.
Just
It
a
don't
home
really
can.
matter in terms of the build.
Yeah, I just
As long
think
as
there's
the story-
certain like Roman Reigns can't lose every week because his character can't do that. Bayley's character can lose. It's like the Joker. The Joker never beats Batman. That's the story arc. You can't have the Joker win because I mean he's the Joker, but he always wins because he's the Joker. It's just
You can have the deluded heel who like loses every week, but then act like nothing happened.
I just think a strong. And this is the issue. This was again we're going off on a tangent, but this was part of the issue of the NWO is that the best heels are strong enough characters to lose all the time. That's the best heel. The Macho Man was the same. You know, when he was heel, he could lose all the time.
And he was
Because he was strong enough as a character. And I think Bayley gets that. But because of how strong her heel character was in this match, I think Bianca left as a better babyface.
Yeah.
And I think Bianca now is. I know I feel like I'm constantly attacking Sasha Banks, but I think she's a different level to what Sasha was. And she was always going to have more money in her than Sasha.
It's sort of like Cena in a way, but obviously
that as well.
not
He's been champ forever.
It's got to be nearly a year now.
It's over a year
over a
there
year.
when it was obviously champ here.
Might not.
No, it's
But
usually
it
always-
might not be in about 12 hours.
It might
But
not be a year in a bit. I mean, it will be.
do you think they'll beat Asuka in Saturday?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, it's the red belt, eh? I mean, still got the red belt and the blue brand, but
Well, I think they'll just get off.
Well, she might just throw the belt in at the end and quit.
I'm doing a collision.
I'm going to go and break my ankle for Japan. Sasha broke her ankle, too.
Oh, no.
yeah.
Bless her. Very good, anyway, in my opinion, is what's coming. Bayley's brilliant, character work brilliant, brilliant heel. Much better heel than face, which nobody expected when she turned heel.
Yeah, totally. I mean, because she was a really good babyface.
Yeah, and Bianca's a star, is the crown jewel of the women's division.
Without a doubt.
Obvious money. Should always be at the top. Should have the title for as long as until she loses steam, which I don't think's happening anytime soon. So they both work well together. Good story. Tied the feud up. I know it was going to continue and she got injured, but it did tie the feud up nicely. Very good, as I expected.
Did she get injured during this thing?
It got injured not long after this, I think. It was supposed to go into... I think she was supposed to fight her at Money in the Bank and she got injured. And then it became... I think it was Carmella, and then they did the thing at SummerSlam when Becky come back.
Yeah, because Sasha meant to be in it and her debut or something?
No, it was Carmella again. No, it was supposed to be somebody... I can't remember who it was supposed to be. I think that was the point where they was doing the Sasha and Naomi was going to win and fight the other one.
Yeah, and it's around there.
They was going to split them up.
They was going to have two fatal five-ways with the same women. Sasha was going to win one by pinning Naomi. Naomi was going to win one by pinning Sasha. And they was going to fight the other champs and lose. That was the story which they like and they fucked off. Because they thought they should have been fighting Doudrop and Nikki, who was feuding with them. Which I agreed with. I don't know why they did.
It just seems, especially.
Well, it seems a bit much to.
Especially Naomi. I mean, I think
that.
Sasha can probably think to herself at that point, I can't leave and go and make the same money elsewhere. And I'm not saying Naomi's not making good money in Impact, and he's probably. Sometimes it is better to be the bigger.
Well, I
think she
I've
might
always done the better thing by going there instead of AEW.
Well, Sasha ain't gone to AEW, has she? And
yeah, that's what I mean.
I think
I've done the
Sasha
better
has
thing.
exhausted all the stories anyway.
I've got to be honest with you. If you ranked, I know it feels like we're always ragging on AEW, and because I've watched AEW a bit recently, and I think I'm starting to get their act together on certain things, but the women's division is fucking pants. Like, it's really bad. It's a really bad division. If I was a women's wrestler at the moment, I would avoid that. And in fact, you could argue the strongest women's division in wrestling at the moment is probably on Impact. So
I've said that for a long time.
Yeah. So you can
the Impact buyer.
So you could, even though it's not as publicised, she's not going to get as big of an audience. If you dominate the best women's division certainly in the state, well, in the world, because it's the biggest in the States, it's the biggest in the world, she's only going to come back with more money. Whether it is in AEW or WWE or her choice, but I hope for her sake that if AEW is at the current rate that it is with the women's division, she chooses the WWE because.
Well, her husband's here as well, eh?
Well, yeah, exactly.
That might sway.
For now. Right, where are we going next?
Right. Now we're going to go to the 80s. Seems to be going like that.
Yeah.
But we go to the 80s, which again was a bit of a struggle, surprisingly, to find. But we go to Clash of Champions 2, or as I've put it here, Cock 2.
Return of the Cock.
We have. I just found it funny. We have Dusty and Sting versus Tully and Arn, and I believe this was for the tag belts, and it was the main event.
It was indeed Clash of the Champions 2, and oh my God, we're in the 80s because that music.
I think this happened on June the 8th, 1988. So it was 364 days before I was born.
Ah, there you go. We know.
Well done for that.
Yay!
I did look to make sure it wasn't leap year. 1988 was a leap year.
God, you get obsessed about things, don't you? You won't watch the wrestling, but you'll look at the match.
Look, I watched this yesterday.
Yeah. So, well, I actually watched it about 10 hours ago.
On the bus.
I watched it this morning at 5 o'clock.
Fair enough.
But it is very 80s because that entrance music for Dusty and Sting, oh my God, you bloody know you're in the 80s. And dude love Dusty in his tie-dye shirt. Fucking love it. But I tell you what, you know...
Don't shit on Sting.
I won't. WWE can have all the razzmatazz and all that. These 20 folks that was in the Clash of the Champions, damn the loudest fans you've ever heard.
That was really fucking loud.
They're so good. The ring announcer is on the edge of his voice as he calls our competitors for the Tag Team Championship match in our main event. Gives the champions the build first, which is Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. Sting has a little stinger in the crowd, and as over as Sting is, Mr. Dusty Rhodes gets some chanting his name first. 5 Hall of Famers in the ring as well. Do you know who the 5th was?
The ref.
It was
Tim
Teddy Long was the referee.
Tim White. He's the ref. He's the first ref in the Hall of Fame.
NWA.
Yeah, apart from Teddy, I suppose. He's the first one that went in as
solely a
referee.
And the owner of the Friendly Tap.
Wasn't it that Vince didn't want to give... It was for a long time he didn't want to give names to referees, and that's why he didn't want them in.
I think that's
Hall of
what
Fame
he does now. I think he.
He's a weird.
I think he kind of went back and forth. Back in the day, you knew the names of the ref, and then you did. And then during the Attitude Era, you did because they had a storyline where they went on strike.
Well, they wanted everyone to be a character because it was all about. Well, we can probably sell a T-shirt with Earl.
Yeah, and Earl would probably nick it and sell it himself.
Nice.
His own shirt.
And then I think they just stopped giving names to refs.
2 people on stick who probably could be Hall of Famers, Tony Schiavone and Bob Caudle. I can't imagine Bob Caudle's going in any time
I don't think
soon.
Schiavone is.
I'd love Schiavone to go in.
He'd be nice, but listening to him, he don't want to go in. So.
Is that right?
He said he refusing to go in.
Oh, come on, Tony.
That's bollocks. He'd do anything there.
Jeez, I love Tony, but come on, mate. Don't be an arse. No matter, does it really?
Well, he's very company man if you listen to. That's the one thing I am a big fan of his thing.
You don't need to be, do you?
Yeah.
I like Tony.
Just be the man that don't give a shit. That was funny, that was before he went to AEW.
On the mic anyway, Bob Caudle and Tony Schiavone. Sting won't be taken down by Arn. Arn has to bail. He lays in a right hand over the head of Teddy, but he's clotheslined the steel post on the outside, and Sting makes him suffer for it. Dusty gets the crowd into the match, gets them bringing the noise. Arn makes a tag to Tully, but Tully's tossed around. There's a nice head scissors takedown by Sting, and Dusty sends the crowd wild with his tag. I mean, geez, that pop when he just makes a tag. He hits his jiving punches and elbows. No one needed to teach Dusty Rhodes more moves than have a jigger punch and elbow. He catches Tully with an atomic elbow, and then grabs I put grabs the noise and lays in a shot. I don't know what that. Oh, grabs the nose. That's what he does. He grabs the nose of Tully and lays in a shot. He does put in the figure 4 leg lock, which I can't even remember him doing before, but okay.
But was Flair on this card?
Well, he's out after, isn't he? Distraction by JJ and arm clocks. Yeah,
I thought there was only one that come out.
Oh, that ended. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
JJ close. JJ chokes Dusty on the outside. I love the table bump, which is he rolls out and knocks over a little small table. Dusty rallies with a sold tackle on Tully, and then hits a drop kick. Sting is tagged in. He shows the fire with a press slam and a Stinger splash. The crowd loves Sting. I mean, all the kids.
He hadn't long had his Clash of Champions, had he? That was January.
Is that when he was sort of?
No, starting to properly build him after that match.
You have arrived.
Yeah, and the kids love him. He's so marketable. There's no doubt about that.
He's the warrior.
Yeah,
better in a way.
Colourful,
on distraction allows a double team, and Sting is dumped chest first onto the guardrail. The pace in this match is really good. You can tell that they're obviously on TBS time. Sting is in trouble now, and he gets his knees up on an Arm Vader bomb. The Horsemen gang up to stop the tag to Dusty. The clothesline on a sunset flip gets a 2. Now remember that spot, because we might be paying homage to that spot later on. Big DDT on the concrete floor. Tony, his call on that is brilliant. Tony Schiavone's call on that DDT, because I thought, well, he's obviously got to be dead. The way he called it.
It's dead.
Arn and Sting trade right hands from the knees. Sting gets a 2 on a backslide. Sting hangmans Tully, and we can feel the fans want the hot tag. Arn desperately tries to stop it, but fails. Dusty's in, takes out everyone, including JJ Dillon. Big bionic elbow, but Tully stops the pinfall. Sting tosses Teddy out of the way. I assumed that was going to lead to a DQ. We pair up and we are in brawls. Dusty tosses Teddy as well, but Barry Windham is out, and oh my god, he's got the most deadly move of all. The gloved claw. The gloved claw, which is more powerful.
I think it's what Mulligan used to do, hadn't he, his father?
Yeah. Why is that more powerful than normal hand?
Normal hand?
Well, gloved hand. How is a gloved hand more deadly than a normal?
It may be like Kane's stinky glove.
Yeah, mate.
Uncomfortable. Stinky.
Yeah. Smell my glove. Look at my glove.
I'm going to rub my glove on your head.
Flair is out as well, because of course he is. His Flair is probably bleeding at this point. And we head into the Great
Here's my next 2 feuds for the next couple of years.
We head into the bash with Sting and Dusty taken out by the Horsemen. I think, who were the other 2 in the... Because it was the bash was the cage, wasn't it?
I don't think they did it for this.
Oh, didn't they? I thought that was the main event.
No, because I don't think I've ever saw Dusty and Sting together in a war game.
Oh, right. But whatever they were building to in the bash, then I don't know what the match was. I would have wanted to buy it after watching this main event. I thought it was really good.
I was going to say, Tully and On left in '88. I think that was towards the end, or it? So I think their first Fed pay-per-view.
Well, it was they fell out with Crockett, didn't they? Around a packet or something like that. Sam, thoughts on that?
Really good match. One of the better matches I could find in the '80s. It wasn't WWF. Because there wasn't many pay-per-views on WWF.
But they had a break as well.
Everybody had a break. Good old Dusty and Sting. And yeah, you can see Sting is really on the rise. He's. I always think this was Sting back then. He's sort of their Hogan and Warrior mashed together. He's like Hogan if Hogan dressed as Warrior, but for you know what I mean. He's like he can cut a promo and work a bit better than whatever he looks like Warrior.
Don't tell Ben Sting could go to promo.
Yeah, I don't agree with that, but I know what you mean.
Oh, baby! Look, Surfer Sting, he gets away with it. When he does it as the Crow, then you think, that's a bit
the moment he speaks as the Crow, he's dead.
He's dead.
I agree with Bishop. Where's your tan? Where is your tan? You're losing to Duggan. I'm sorry.
We just watched Nikolai Volkov.
Yeah, he had nothing.
Exactly. But I always prefer Surfer Sting. If I ever watch him, I'll watch it. And we get to see Arn and Tully with a tank.
I was a child at this point. You two weren't born. And I can imagine if you watch this product regularly, as a kid, you'd love Sting. He's just so marketable to kids. Yeah. He's just so marketable.
Different age.
Very 80s.
Fix that.
Max Headroom with paint.
I thought it was so NWA, the style of it, the pacing of it. I could have watched another 5 or 10 minutes of it. Dusty is a babyface. I mean, he's just so fucking good. Yeah. Again, he does nothing, but whatever he does,
punches an elbow.
Well, it's just, I think Bruce said on the house shows, he would just stand there in the ring and say, "Here's my elbow, come and fight me," and that would just go and run to him, and he'd just turn.
I mean, but that's all he needed to do.
Yeah,
and that little jive,
and that's it.
Brilliant. And I can't speak highly enough of Tully and Arn as a tag team. Just keep them together forever. Jack?
Yeah, I agree. It's 4 white-hot characters. It's arguably the best team of that generation of, not Dusty and Sting, Arn and Tully. Dusty, the biggest babyface that NWA had. Sting, who's on the rise. Completely marketable. All into the melting pot together. The crowd, fantastic. So they could have done a lot less, and the crowd would have made you think that it was even better. I mean, it was really good. It had a shit finish, really, of I'm just going to run in.
But the thing is, you don't need it at that point. And as well, I mean, it's the main heel faction, and basically Dusty and Sting are 2 of Flair's main opponents. So them protecting the main one, who's the world champ.
But the thing is, Dusty and Sting, if this is a bona fide main event, they can't win because they can't take the titles. No. But they can't lose because they're going to feud with
That was the problem with the 80s. Nobody could win.
They couldn't lose.
Unless you were fighting Hogan.
If this was the main event, this was the main event of the Bash, maybe we could have had the different of opinion in terms of the finish. As a build to the Bash, I'm happy with that. Especially because back then there was 4 pay-per-views, weren't there? Or 5 pay-per-views.
Something like that for the NWA had a couple more.
And like I say, the Clash was, I think, the most watched wrestling program of all, because it was I assume it's how it's the TV
on TV.
It was always
similar to the In Your Houses, or it's just instead of just having squash matches, you're going to have.
But I would, as I say, because of the way that match built, I would have happily paid for the Bash just to see Dusty and Sting get the comeuppance, because no one should be taken out with a gloved hand.
No, you really going on that gloved hand.
Where are we going next?
Right, next we're going to go
glove fingers.
Right, so we've gone from the 70s to the 20s to the 80s, so we're going to get to the 10s now.
There we go.
It's another tag match, which, again, this is the tag match I had first. The 80s was the last match I picked. But we're going to see sort of like Tully and Arn, but now...
2.0.
2.0. From NXT, the end, and thank God NXT did some takeovers in June, because for the 10s I had a couple of matches.
Yeah.
But I wanted to get the revival against a forgotten tag team, American Alpha.
Yeah, not forgotten by me, though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This build shows just how amazing this feud is, and how proper tag team with proper specialist tag teams can be as interesting on any card as any main event. I mean, I watched the little package building up to it, and you really want to see the match. And to be fair, this is probably in the middle of the feud. I don't think this ends the feud. I think they carry on, don't they? I think didn't we have watched an American Alpha revival match previously on the podcast?
Well, that when the big
DIY in Canada.
Oh, was it DIY? Yeah. But wherever you put across the frigging ring to revival, it doesn't really matter, does it? I mean, they're just so bloody good. So yeah, these teams.
Well, come on. What about the shit thing in AEW?
Well, yeah. Well, that's the problem, isn't it? That we'll get to my thoughts on the revival at the end.
Factory. QT Marshall was of it.
Yeah. The Guns.
Although Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I love Jeff. Fucking love Jeff. I saw the skit where they went round to
fucking brilliant.
I did see that. That was funny. We sat there singing the Big Dungarees with the kids.
beautiful. Jeff is so fun.
Proper TNA.
Yeah. That's what you need, though. If AEW can become a bit more TNA, it'll be better.
Just don't get Russo. God, him and Tony Khan.
I've got a feeling he might be like the head book. Because if you heard what they're going to do in terms of, instead of a draft, they're going to do transfers.
What?
So
transfers?
Yeah, so
they're going to have Jim White with his tie.
Yes, I heard someone say they've got to book Red Dash. They're going to have Red Dash. I bought them about Terrific team. Terrific.
I didn't think you're going to go with his car.
I didn't think he turns up. I'm sorry for collision.
No, you've got to go back to Rampage.
Yeah, that's what apparently he's going to call it. He's going to call them like they're going to be transferred to certain
God,
shows.
he don't really want to be WWE without actually thinking, oh no, we're different to
The
WWE.
thing is, I understand them not wanting to because they don't want to, because people will just go, oh, you got to draft, you're ripping up. Draft? I mean, it's just a draft. Every sport has a draft. It's not a problem. Like the WWE didn't create a draft. It is what it is. It's not going to be the end of the world if they do a draft.
But that is going to worry people, though, because don't forget, Tony Khan owns Fulham, and we do have transfers. So is he going to transfer QT Marshall to centre midfielder for Fulham?
Maybe that's why Miro's back on, because he knows there's still a spot at left back at Fulham. When he's there,
right? Fulham's odds are going down. Shut up.
Brilliant.
You've gone too Fulham.
Yeah. I do also love how flabby Dawson's belly is. I always love the fact that he can never, whether it's through design, he never quite gets toned.
He never gets toned.
But that's what's good. Not everybody can be like a really toned wrestler. You've got to have a bit of flab.
No, you do, exactly.
Have a bit of flab. Have a bit of flab.
Dawson and Gable starting us off, but Dawson can't drag into the corner. I mean, the psychology in that alone, they haven't done a move. And he's trying to drag into the corner, which is just brilliant tag team psychology. Chad's back strength is shown off, but he's yanked down, and Dawson is back in. Gable shows off hitting a Mr. Perfect style head scissors. More on why I've called it a Mr. Perfect style head scissors for when we reach that match. Jordan is in to show his athleticism, and Jesus Christ, this bloke, he's so athletic, isn't he? Great psychology as Dawson lifts the leg using the knee pad, which means that he's on one leg so he can pull him into his corner. I mean, just that alone, it's so genius. Big face-off, which the Revival lose out on, and we see mirror spots now, and double ankle locks, and Alpha hold the ring. Dash ain't taking down Jordan, he's taken down with, in sort of amateur-style wrestling. Gable gets a few near falls, but a European uppercut on the outside. Alpha stayed dominant on a nice sucker spot, and Chad hits a double clothesline from the top. They start to pay homage to the sort of Steiners as well. Did you see when Jordan was running around the ring?
Yeah, they used to do that pose.
Yeah. Big hip toss, but behind the ref we see an assisted hangman spot by the heels. Gable is clobbered in the corner. There's a nice double team elbow spot. Gable shows off the babyface fire to get a 2 on a sunset flip, but this is where we see Dawson hit the Arn Anderson spinebuster to block the tag. Again, blocking the tag is brilliant. Revival work the tag team spots and ground Gable. And again, there's a nice block of the tag as Dawson takes out the legs of Gable. And Revival hits. I've put the Smoking Guns
the leg drop
finishing manoeuvre. I can't remember which tag team.
AMW used to do that.
AMW, yeah. I can't remember what it's called, but they did it from a backbreaker. I think the Guns when they
Smoking Guns one did it from
like the Canadian backbreaker.
Yeah, it was a Canadian backbreaker.
And then Bayley used to do the leg drop off the.
Gable scurries to make a tag to JJ, who hits a T-bone suplex. Jordan drops the straps. There's a big hook suplex from 2, blind tag, and a clothesline on a sunset flip.
No.
So someone's been watching The Horseman. There's a nice spot as JJ tags in Gable, and there's a combination dropkick German, which gets a 2. The crowd love the match, obviously, NXT crowd. Gable locks in the ankle lock on Dawson. Kick away into a European uppercut by Dash. Dawson gets a 2. There's a horrible looking move where we're supposed to believe that from Dash's shoulders, Gable reverses a dive into a belly-to-belly. It just looks like both men land on their head, to be honest. JJ is in, and the Shatter Machine is hit in the confusion, and this allows the Revival to regain the tag team championship.
First ever 2 times.
2 times.
2 times?
Yep, first ever. That was 3 times, were they, in the end? I think that was first 3 times as well. Brilliant tag match. Obviously, you can't go wrong with these. This is probably NXT's golden period with just the shows as well. It was simple.
Well, at this time, didn't they have Enzo and Cass and proper defined tag teams?
Yeah, I think American Alpha was just about to be moved to SmackDown, were they? I think that's why they lost.
Well, they get beat down after this, don't they, by ALP.
Oh, okay.
This is the debut. It
I
happens
didn't see
after
that.
this, man.
Oh, I must have
it was
missed
But yeah, this
Oh,
obviously
it's
just
just
the
let it
peak you call.
I saw the little thing in the corner thing, even though it was third match.
And it's like the archetype babyface team and the proper wrestling heat. It's proper Southern wrestling.
I just think that it's probably not the best that these two will have, but it's probably the best that they had in June. In fairness, and you can whatever your bias towards AEW or WWE, anyone who watches any wrestling will know that the Revival are the best tag team in the whole world, and it's not even close. The Usos are probably the closest.
Usos are closest.
Maximum male mod.
They are pretty good. I mean, the Revival, when opposite, and this is where I've caveated it, and this is the issue with AEW, when the Revival are opposite a proper babyface tag team, like American Alpha are, there's no fucking Matt and Nick Jackson, are they heel this week or are they fucking face?
Flippy flop.
You need a proper defined. And it's the same with a lot of the tag teams in AEW. It's like, the Guns sometimes, I don't know whether you're a heel now or you're a fucking face.
What's it called? Who's the rapping lot?
Yeah.
The rappers!
The
rapper people! The hippity-hoppity people! The acclaimed.
That's it.
Yeah, they're a bit heelish in cool heels, but baby
That's
faces.
rappers Samson was Babel and Mo.
Yeah. Opposite Mabel and Mo, the Revival. Now, I just think the best way to book the Revival is find a really good baby face, make them the most baby face, white meat, kiss the babies,
the ones who can
teams
bump
ever, and the Revival will make them. They'll make them a better
Stop
baby face
telling you
team. Because the American Alpha are a better team because they're opposite the Revival. The way that they use Gable in the desperation, but it's not like the hot tags where a lot of these drag it back. It's like when they're diving and then they're knocking his legs from under him and all the clever psychology that they do.
That's the thing with the Revolver. It's all the little things they do that makes sense.
It's the tag team work of cutting the ring off face.
And you know what NXT did better than most anyone else has ever done in wrestling in terms of heels? They got a clean win.
Yeah. They just won.
No one. I didn't come out thinking American Alpha couldn't beat them because they lost clean. It was just genuinely good booking.
They always had good tag match. I mean, the perfect tag match I ever watched on NXT, which we saw, was the Mustache Mountain Undisputed Era with the leg thing.
I mean, that's a beautiful match.
That's
It's just
brilliant.
simple psychology, just turned up to the max.
But I always think tag team wrestling. This is why I don't quite understand why there's such a anti it in WWE. Is that tag team wrestling is easier to get babyface heat. Because you're natural bullying, you're constantly seeing bullying.
One to stop the one who probably could kick your ass.
Because the problem with like Diesel when he was the babyface is you can't in a singular setting you can't bully Diesel. But if it was a tag team, Diesel could get babyface heat because he could be bullied by any tag team because it could be 2-on-1.
Yeah.
So that's the way that you
or
can
he
build.
could be the one with his
Or
Sean being bullied for him to make the same what he called him.
Like Jordan was in this.
Yeah.
It's just, and the Revival are the best in the world in terms of that. That's the only issue that I have. That's why I think the Revival are better than the Usos. Is that the Usos are just athletic, they're crisp, the characters are on point, but they're not. The Revival is so refined as a heel
Yeah.
team. They should never not be heel.
No,
never ever
gotta
not
be
be heel.
Heels.
And even if they were sort of baby faces, I think they naturally just work heel.
So
Like we will see later on, where there's a baby face who just goes, "I'm going to work heel," because he does.
Both of us call me faces.
Yeah.
One of us has to be.
I love the match. I absolutely love the match. Jack?
Yeah, it's very good. As well, I already watched it before, so I knew it was going to be good. The Revival are the best team in the world. I would agree with that. In terms of tag team psychology and tag team work, in knowing each other, in knowing what to do to get the other team over and keeping themselves strong. And American Alpha, this was probably their peak, I would say.
Yeah. Well, the problem, I'll tell you why it was their peak, because they're about to leave, and then someone else is going to take over the booking.
Well, yeah, then a certain Vince McMahon goes, well,
Yeah.
he had sex with a black woman once. So I know his son.
But now we need Shelton Benton.
But I do think Jason Jordan is a heel, natural heel. I do look at him and I do think you just look like a heel to me.
But I think he's got
In
that
terms of
jock.
his face.
He's got the
yeah,
jockness
just
in it. He's a
naturally
bit like
Yeah.
very
Braun.
likeable.
A bit
He
like Braun
can't
Breaker.
smile is my thing. He can't look
What
down
do you
the
mean, yeah.
camera and smile and make you think, yeah, I care about him. You look at him, he's a prick. And he's a
I think
heel
that's
to
where
me.
he was
Ironically,
starting to
though-
go, or he
Yeah.
went before he got injured. And
But
Yeah.
ironically, though, you'd have looked at Gable and thought, well, he's as white meat as they can be, and he's probably as good a heel.
Oh,
it's just-
Gable is so good.
It's brilliant.
He just needs to be a couple of inches taller
Yeah.
because he's so good in terms of
Well,
comedy. He's like Angle in terms of he can do comedy, he
Yeah.
can be serious, he can work with anyone. He's the perfect fall for Otis. He's
It's-
brilliant.
It's just in a certain person's eyes, he needs to be.
He's gotta be
a bit
short and
taller. You got to play basketball.
Do it, man.
But he's brilliant.
Do
But,
Pete.
I mean, this is peak for all. I mean, Revival probably got a bit better, to be fair to him, even though there was really good here. But he's so good as a tag team. NXT, for that run, probably did tag team wrestling as good as since the NWA and the early WWE.
Yeah.
This is peak as the tag team.
But again,
wrestling you're gonna see.
it's. I know it's. Maybe it's not gimmicky, but it is so defined why they're a tag team. This is the style. That is the tag team. You put them together and you just run that. You know, the Viking Raiders when they were there, the ALP. There's a certain stylisation of the way you look, and you think, well, that's a team.
Yeah.
And then it works as a tag team.
Yeah, they're a
You just
team.
put them in a team. That's it. It works.
Yeah.
And then for some reason they get to WWE and they strip everything back. They give Karrion Kross a silly mask, and then that's it. It's ruined. Where
Take his woman away and give him a mask.
where are we going next?
Right, the semi-main is again we seem to have gone back to the the Chad Gable of his time, Kurt Angle,
Good.
but in a better state than we last saw him on the podcast.
Yes. Just a bit.
We're going to Vengeance 2005, and since we couldn't see the original match, why don't we see the rematch?
There you go.
Sean B. Angle.
So Vengeance 05, which I didn't realise was a June pay-per-view.
Yeah, it was the next one after One Night Stand.
Underrated. Hidden gem of a pay-per-view, I would say.
This
Yeah,
is
it's just
where
got
Jericho
you've
got
got
Cena.
Jericho, Christian, Cena, because
It was triple
Jericho,
threat.
Cena, and it was in the middle of the draft.
The draft.
This is where
You got both.
This is where you can
Yeah.
tell that Vince didn't want Christian anywhere near
Oh,
the main
yeah.
event, but he was just so over that.
Yeah,
he thought,
and then
"Oh,
they
yeah,
moved him to SmackDown, and then gradually
Yeah.
pushing and
And
pushing
you had
him,
the
but
cell.
You had the cell match. I couldn't remember what else you had. on this.
Triple H. That's all you need, them three.
Yeah.
It's a big pay per view though
Yeah.
for the sort of mid noughties. So yes, it's Kurt Angle versus Shawn Michaels 2. 3 months removed from the first encounter.
Yes, the first one was April 1st, was it? WrestleMania?
Yep. So Kurt's progression now into the wrestling machine continues as he looks very serious on his ring walk, and he starts with the straps down. JR, Coach, and the King are on commentary here. I do really miss the old sets. I know everyone says it, but the casino styling for it, just I don't know why it's got anything to do with
It's
these.
self-defined.
Yeah, so easy.
As a show.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you're doing 12 in a year.
Yeah,
you know.
just make it feel
Yeah,
different to
the-
it. When it's just the Tron, it just makes it feel the same. What's the difference between Vengeance and Bad Blood?
Oh, it's green now.
Yeah, it's fucking same.
Don't know how Sean gets away with his outfit though. Only in wrestling can you go out dressed like him with that chain mail and all that.
Let's go outside.
Because these women made his outfits and he just said, I'll just wear whatever.
Well, he did.
You fucking will, mate.
There's a nice story on this. It's a rematch from Mania and Sean wanting to top that. Not just beat Kurt, but actually top the match, which I think is good.
Kurt one day.
Yeah. Kurt starts very aggressive at the start, tries to ground Sean with amateur work. Sean headlocks desperately, but the work is already being done to tell the story that Sean knows he cannot match Kurt as a wrestling mat-based match. And he actually shows a bit of fear and frustration when he can't quite get the better of him. I also saw a few Captain Charisma shirts in the crowd. Felt very sad and frustrated that I didn't buy that shirt when we went. And one day I will own one of those shirts, I'm telling you. Angle works the arm of Sean. Sean escapes and lays in chops and starts to show aggression now of his own. But he can't escape this hold as Kurt locks in a half crab. But Sean desperately makes the ropes. Sean falls into Kurt Angle's ankle lock, but escapes and clotheslines into the outside. It's all been sort of teases of moves initially, but the very first big pop of a move is when Sean is basically just German suplexed and bounced off the announce table, which does pop the crowd. Doesn't break either, which I think actually helps. If it had broke, I don't think he would have got as much of a pop, but the fact that he bounces actually helps him. Kurt tosses Sean in rather than take the count out, and he hits a neck breaker. Angle desperately starts to cover Sean multiple times, which I think shows his respect for Sean, that he just wants to end the match. Angle's totally dominant, hitting European uppercuts in the corner. There's a powerbomb into the corner as well, which only gets a 2. Sean rallies and hits but he's hit with a released German suplex for a 2. Kurt has dominated pretty much all the match and catches Sean to hit a belly-to-belly now. Sean is sleeping down, but he kicks out a few times from the fall. The crowd start to rally behind Sean as Sean back suplexes his way out of it. Sean rallies now and hits a flying forearm. They sort of do a double down spot. We're on 9. He keeps up, which sort of surprises and frustrates Kurt. He lays in great shots, an atomic drop and a clothesline. Goes up high for Sean's Macho Man style elbow and starts to tune up the band. Fuck that, Kurt says, clothesline. And he's stiff as well. Swinging DDT by Sean for a 2. Kurt rolls through a suplex and hits Germans, and then a big angle slam. Kick out, which does pop the crowd. But also in that move, we see a replay, and I didn't really see it the first time, of when Sean trying to stop the Germans. And he just fucking elbows him right in the nose. I mean, it's the stiffest elbow you'll ever see. Sean nearly steals a win on the cradle, but Angle shows intelligence to lock in the ankle lock. Sean sends Angle into the ref to save himself. He sells the knee as Angle backdrops him to the outside. Again, nice spot. The doctors are called, but Kurt won't allow it. Straps are down. After avoiding sweet chin music, the ankle lock is locked in and he won't loose the hold. Sean's in big trouble. The crowd stay with it. And start a chant for Sean. Sean manages to counter, sending Kurt into the steel post, and then the super kick, which is perfect because he actually both his legs sort of fly up, and Angle sells it like he's dead, like he's completely dead. Sean can't cover immediately, and we get a 2.9. I like how Coach tells me that no one's ever kicked out of that move before, because I guarantee they fucking have at this point.
A lot.
Everyone kicks out.
You're not watching the product.
Angle goes up high, jumps, but this time the sweet chin music is hit, and Sean covers for the win. Yes, sir.
Obviously, brilliant match. Oh, I wanted to watch one of their matches. I have put. It's probably out of the 3 matches they had. It's probably the weakest of the 3, but it's still good.
It's the best match they had in June.
Yeah, because they did have a match on what I think it was Raw Homecoming. They had a 30-minute Iron match.
Did that have a definitive winner?
I think they drew that as well. So they've never
money in that.
They could have carried on. Well, obviously the Mania match I think is the best match, but this is still brilliant with these two. You called it wrong.
I mean, the only thing else it complemented the Bret and Perfect match. Spoiler alert, because it's almost taken a similar style of match but made it very modern in the way that it looks. With the storytelling, the selling, especially from Sean, was so good. If I was really, really critical, I'd have had him win on the first Sweet Chin Music because I think Angle, if you think about him being methodical and a wrestling machine, he's just survived that and immediately goes, well, I'm going to just jump on you then. I don't know whether he would, if you think about him as you know what I mean? He would almost be a bit more defensive. Yeah. And I just think, I know they're trying to get over that's how much it takes to beat Angle, but it was so well executed, the first one. It legitimately looked like he would have been out forever, and it would have been fine because he's fucking Angle. I'm being really critical of that. I would have just done that, but I mean, Jesus Christ, it's Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels. I mean, again, if you're ranking wrestlers on wrestling ability ever, they'll be in the top 4 or 5 of anyone's list, if not on some 1 and 2 or 1 and 1 out.
Yeah, Irish assassins up there.
Jack.
I mean, it's peak Angle, I think.
Yeah.
Peak Angle.
I was probably 2 out of 5 is best.
But it's very long after this that he's
I think Sean had his peak forever. So he never really troughed anywhere. So it's bound to be brilliant, and it was brilliant. It was amazing. Kurt, they highlighted him as the wrestling machine, and Sean played the fact that he couldn't out wrestle him perfectly. But then, like you say, I think doing 2 Sweet Chin Musics probably didn't help it. 1 Sweet Chin Music out of nowhere helped Sean a little bit more in terms of his character, and it ain't going to hurt Kurt, but it shows that he can beat him with just 1 out of nowhere. And it gives you more of a story going into the third match at Homecoming. But I mean, what they do for the 20 minutes or whatever it is perfect. It's easy to watch. I mean, it goes by in a flash. It's that good.
I think that especially the last, well, you could probably argue the first one as well. But I think for most of the matches that you've picked, the strength is in the babyface making the heel making the babyface really sympathetic. Pat Patterson did it, especially in his finish. But Bayley did it, the Revival did it, and Angle did it and Tully and Arn did it. Yeah, and next match, we know where that works out as well. There's such an art in being a really good heel to make the babyface. And like I say, smart fans might have been chanting for Angle. Not one person was chanting for Angle in that. No. And that's the strength of Shawn Michaels and the way they booked the match, because all the way through that he was fighting from under, weren't he? Yeah. Until pretty much that kick. That's why I think it could have finished, because after that he's got the advantage and then he just wins. Yeah. So I could have done without that, but of course, I mean, that is nitpicking. Yeah. That's being a Dave Meltzer 2.5 stars, isn't it, really? Yeah. Anyway, right.
Do that up halfway.
2 stars.
Jack, yes. Where are we going next? No, Sam. Oh, I'm giving you the power. Big Daddy. Where are we going for our main event then?
Well, kind of said it. I think I spoke it a couple of podcasts ago. We go to the first King of the Ring pay-per-view. It is Mr. Perfect, who was actually a face at this point, versus Bret Hart in the King of the Ring the only King of the Ring semi-final at the show.
Yes, and much the same as Kurt Angle versus Shawn, just with a bit more time between it. It is Bret Hart versus Mr. Perfect 2, because obviously they have had a previous encounter at SummerSlam 91. So it is the King of the Ring semi-finals. We've got rid of that horrible 15 minutes time limit, and they'll tell us that in the match. And we're up to 30-minute time limits. And beforehand, we do have a brilliant "My Dad Would Beat Your Dad" promo, which is a fabulous promo.
Really. Kids,
my dad's bigger than your dad.
I must admit, I know JR doesn't really look back fondly on this sort of trio because of Macho Man being difficult for him to work with initially, but I quite like the three. The three.
That was quite good together. I think they only did this. There was another show that did
Mania 9.
Yes, that's it. There, Mania 9 and King of the Ring.
So they put over the match coming up, and I think even Heenan sort of downplays his heelness and just goes, "It's going to be a good match in it, really."
Yeah.
Hitman's taped up the fingers to show the injury from the quarters. I mean, we can't really add anything more. This is a very good night for one Bret Hart.
It was a good night for Bret, and it was a kind of a fuck you to Elkin as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's no doubt at the end of this show was the start.
Yeah.
Macho
Jerry
Man.
Lawler? Exactly, yeah.
He's the man to take us into the new generation. Next King of the Ring, main event.
Oh no!
And he was.
God, he was.
Macho Man reminds us of their past match in SummerSlam 1991. Hitman tosses Perfect down, but Perfect recovers with head scissors, which one Jason Jordan, Chad Gable does in 20 years' time. Brain stutters as Macho Man suggests that Perfect lost in SummerSlam because of him. Now, I just want to remind you, it wasn't him at ringside, was it?
Yes.
The couch. The golden green.
The golden green.
Never trust a woman.
Fucking bad.
There's
He
nice.
does say that though, he goes, I was there, I was busy. He was on commentary.
Was he on commentary?
Yeah, because during one of the matches, it was Bushwhack and the Disasters. You see him walk off because he does a skip backstage with Hogan when he's got the big gold belt for Flair.
Okay, cool. Nice even stuff as Perfect chops Bret, but Bret kicks him away and we go into the side headlock. Bret gets a 2 on a crucifix and repeats the headlock spot. He gets a 2 on a crossbody. Perfect sells a shot to the gut absolutely brilliantly. And Perfect again is back to the headlock. Savage and Heenan tell a good story of the 15-minute time limit becoming 30 and them being able to pace themselves better in the match. Great standing drop kick as Perfect starts to work slightly heel because he does start to get a bit booed from here. He offers the ropes to Bret but then kicks him as soon as he comes through the ropes as well. Stiff kicks now as Perfect hits a nice knee lift. He kicks Bret to the outside and lays in chops and then sends Bret from the apron, crashes into the railing in what looks like an ice box. Bret sells the knee now, which again will be a story for later on. And another knee lift and Perfect goes up high. I was sure he was going to miss, but he actually hits a top rope drop kick. Bret saves himself with the ropes. Bret then takes his chest corner bump, which it's Bret in it. He does it brilliantly. He just fucking runs into it. Perfect goes
I
up.
ain't stopping. One day, so that post would probably fall.
Yeah. It's going to be
Look
like
at Slaughter
Everyone knows that spot. Perfect goes up high again, but this time he's caught out. There's a superplex by Bret from Bret's rope, which is, I suppose it's his rope. Should be, yeah. The two and the crowd have really built perfectly into this match. Bret kicks the legs away from Perfect, which he sells absolutely brilliantly. And I think that harks back, because I'm sure he did that.
He did that
at SummerSlam,
yeah.
Bret stupidly goes for a figure 4 leg lock instead of the sharpshooter because I don't understand that. But the commentary team cover for that in terms of him softening up the legs and all that. Perfect is desperate as I just thought the commentary team was brilliant. Makes the ropes. Bret starts to build to the sharpshooter, works the legs. He does let the crowd breathe a little bit as well at this point. Perfect recovers and does his Bull Nakano head toss. Oh, hair toss, I should say, on Bret. Sleep hold now by Perfect, and Perfect has to break the hold of 4, stumbling back, which again was really good. Like he thought, shit, I'm going to lose it. The selling is just a masterclass from both men, but Perfect especially. Perfect has his head dropped on the top turnbuckle, and then has a bit of his own medicine as he's tossed by his hair. But he crushes his Perfect testicles.
He always did that.
Perfect ball. AJ does that spot, but he does it stomach first into the post all the time. That's beautiful. That's
that
spot.
It's such an easy thing to
slide in
and just
it just makes it look so much more impactful.
Bret goes through his move, so the leg sweep, the backbreaker, Bret rope elbow, all for a 2. Sharpshooter is set up, but again, great storytelling as it was just about to be locked in. Perfect grabs the fingers, again playing heel to avoid it. Bobby Heenan takes all the credit for that brilliantly.
Heenan did really well on this, even though he was a face. I might consider managing him again. Caught was all emphasising he's the heel in this match.
This is his last hurrah, isn't it? Like, this is the best. This is as good a call as Heenan's going to have till he leaves. And
Till
then says,
'cause he leaves
whose side is that? Whose side is he on?
Till the gimmick battle royal.
Yeah, till he's back in his proper comfy chair.
Until he's back in his natural habitat.
Perfect place is set up, but Bret blocks it, and surprisingly for the time, we see a double suplex over the top rope. Both men crash. Crowd love that move. Perfect's
It's
leg
a nice
is
spot 'cause
hurting.
you don't see it all the time.
No,
That's the thing.
And it's done so safely as well.
Yeah.
It looks good. Perfect suckers Bret in with sort of hobbling on his leg to roll into a schoolboy. He gets a 2, but it rolls back on himself, and his own move has cost him, and he's lost the match to Bret Hart. Sam?
I really like this match. I always go on about it, and I think this is better than SummerSlam because Perfect's a bit more healthier.
Yeah,
And I think there's the psychology.
And he didn't sort of strip him at the end.
No, he didn't want to, for some reason, die of having your say. But it just worked.
I want the belt and your gear.
And I want that as well. That was the rule.
And coach, come here.
No, you can keep it. But yeah, it's just brilliant. And Heenan helping it as well, established Perfect's the heel.
Yeah.
Even though he was doing it, it's similar to the Piper match, but Piper kind of stayed face, whereas Perfect kind of just knew, I'm going to be a heel.
Yeah.
And Bret not winning with a sharpshooter out throughout the story, because I think they did tell him, don't win any of your match with a sharpshooter, he does.
So he can show a
So
different
he
way
could
to
do
win.
it way, because I think he pinned Razor from a back suplex off the top, and then he did the roll up on Bam Bam, and obviously we won here.
I never realised that, but that's brilliant psychology.
He only needs to do it on Skinner.
Yeah.
Papa.
But when he did it, he usually always won. It was
Bring
only
the
like
big guns
later
out
on
for
when
Papa.
people started to not kick out of it, so to speak. But every time he did it, he won. So I think it was just a way of showing. Again, it might have been a sort of thing for him to say, "Q to Hogan, I can do
Not
this."
only that, the three
Yeah,
people
but
that
it's-
he's wrestling, you don't particularly want them to all, because he didn't just beat any
Razor was about to turn face. Perfect was a face, and Bam Bam was
Well, you got
a credible main
top
event monster
2,
heel.
3.
Bam Bam's a big guy, and
Yeah.
Razor is 6 foot odd as well, so you
Yeah.
don't want him tapping out.
Nah.
I mean, I did think initially a little bit repetitive. The pace is a little slow. The headlock's been probably used too much, and then it just built into something brilliant. I mean, it just built layer upon layer. The selling from both men really, really helped it. I got to give credit to Perfect because again, it really legitimised Bret as a babyface throughout it. His selling was brilliant. Heel work, win at all costs, use the injured body part, and then actually costing yourself because you've suckered him into a move that's been reversed on you and you've lost through your own move, which actually strengthens him because it makes him look like a better wrestler because he's won with a move. His move. Just genius. And I agree with you. Having seen both of them on the podcast, I think that this is probably the better of the two.
Yep.
Jack?
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. I think Perfect. It's a brilliant performance by him in this match in terms of realising he's going to be the heel. It sort of feels like he's passing the torch. It sort of feels like he knows this is the sort of I am now on the I know he still wrestles for like 7 or 8 years over these.
He never reached these heights again.
He never has something like this, and it's probably because he never has the foil to do it. But especially in WCW, I mean, he's working like Mongo or something like that. But this is his peak in terms of this is my last perfect wrestling match. Yeah, obviously, Bret's pieced it together because it's Bret, and it does annoy me at times. Everybody sort of masturbates over Bret is the greatest thing ever, but he is very, very, very good. Obviously,
Oh, but I mean, the thing is,
of creating a match. In terms of that first 5 minutes is slow, and we're going to build into it, and then the little thing with the fingers and all the stuff that
that's what you
pieces
need a
together.
match
But
to
he is
build.
brilliant at it. But just calm down.
well, my issue with Bret is the fact that he criticises
So
other
miserable.
people. Well, he criticises other people for being repetitive, and a lot of his matches are repetitive. I mean,
Yes.
that formula follows most of his matches. But that don't mean that he's bad. I mean, he's
No,
fucking good at
doesn't.
it. He's very good at it. It's the same with Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan doesn't use the same level of psychology as Bret Hart. There's no fucking finger holding and all that sort of stuff. There's a bit of back raking when he's a face. But he had a formula for fucking 5 years, and he just did that formula.
Yeah.
Big baby, comes from fights from under, starts off hot, big monster gets on top, hooks up, big boot, we all go home happy. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. From a pure
really
standpoint, it doesn't matter. But here, that formula, because the heel got it as well. Yeah. He ain't fighting fucking Virgil. It's a beaut of a match.
Yep.
So that only leaves us to say, if you've got to pick one, your match of your run, then Sam.
It's got to be the perfect Bret match. To be honest,
I want to be perfect and Bret as well.
I'd go Angle Sean.
If you had to shed a match, I'm not going to say worst match because none of them are bad. No. If you had to shed a match, which one would you pick?
I would maybe go with the Dusty, Sting, Arn and Tully. It's either that or the Bianca Bayley match. But I think I'm just going to tag match because then I realised I had 2 tag matches on it.
Well, I've gone with Bayley and Bianca, but nothing to do with them. I just think it's more to do with I struggle to watch wrestling with no crowd.
Pat Ted for me.
MVP? That's really tough. I could have listed a fucking dozen. Because like I said, I thought every heel in every match was brilliant.
Me? For picking them?
No, I'm not saying you.
No. Not perfect. You know what? I might go Heenan for adding a little bit more to the match. Instead of just going, this is a brilliant match. He kind of sided with Perfect, even though Perfect was a face, but playing the heel.
Yeah. Well, I went to the commentary team of King of the Ring because I really enjoyed the commentary team. And I think we'll get to who I think my LVP is in a minute, so we'll talk about it.
I'm going to go Scott Dawson.
Yeah,
I thought he was brilliant. I love him, and he does get a bit,
Look, Bret,
I take it a bit too seriously at times. Calm down a little bit, get off Twitter sometimes. But he is fucking brilliant in this, and he is such a good tag team worker. I think he's brilliant.
LVP then. That's really tough on this podcast.
Yeah.
How do you pick who you think is the worst out of those?
Out of all of them?
Well, just everyone we've heard or seen. I'll let you know because I didn't like the commentary of the coach because especially when he's not so defined as a heel, he adds very little value to the commentary team.
Because he was a heel at this point. But
but he's like that. But even Lawler still has the heel edge. So it's almost like you've got two soft heels with JR. And every time I think I hear him talk, I almost can hear JR just going, "What the fuck are you here for, man? I don't need you."
Well, he tried to replace JR, although I tried to have him replace JR. For some reason, they just always wanted to fuck over JR. So I think I agree with you. It's just unnecessary coach.
Well, for me, it's a moment you wouldn't have seen, which is the AOP debut after, because the crowd and Tom Phillips, to be fair, on commentary, don't help the debut of Paul Ellering, because Paul Ellering comes out, and a couple of people know because they're pop, and Corey Graves know, but Tom Phillips is like, "Who is this man?" And the crowd are a bit confused.
They don't quite know who he is.
Paul Ellering is, but obviously Corey Graves
that
fills us in that it's Paul Ellering, and he used to be his LOD, and he's a legendary manager.
Yeah.
And I understand. It is fucking 20 years before. Some people ain't
I saw a video, I think it was Cultaholic recently ranked like every manager or something like that. And I watched bits of it. And one of the things they did say was that they thought Paul Ellering was a better fit for AOP than Rockstar Spud. And I don't agree. I really don't agree. I don't dislike Ellering, but I think he'd had his time. I actually think they suit a little runty manager rather than the mastermind manager.
I think
obviously I don't know that then, so I'd have popped I wouldn't have known then. Oh, when they get Rockstar Spud, then it's going to be better. When you've got
the little runty one, especially when he is a wrestler as well, you sort of feel like he's the star.
Well, the issue was not only that. The issue was the way they booked him because he ended up losing the titles and pissing himself. That's the problem. But I think that kind of work in terms of the juxtaposition of
the bodyguards.
He's a bit like the fucking anthill mobbing.
Well, they had him with when there was with Seth was probably the best run on the main
like
roster.
Spike and the Dudleys.
When he was the boss.
When he was the boss.
When you get the boss, I quite like the little man
pushing the big men around.
rather than because I don't necessarily buy them as you're always going to compare AOP to the Road Warriors if they're with Ellering,
just a big team.
and they're not. They're better than just being sort of the Road Warriors, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
But I didn't watch it, so I couldn't put it as an LVP. And I had
a
watched
reaction,
it.
but I do. At the same time, I'm not a wrestling snob in terms of expecting everyone to know a man from 20 odd years ago.
But the commentary team have to do better then.
But Tom Phillips should have done better off
Yeah.
informing us. This is put later in. He's a legendary
He's an
team
impact
manager.
team.
Tom Phillips, yeah.
He's the main one, eh?
Yeah.
Is he the main one?
Yeah,
Who's
yeah.
he commentate with?
Aiden English.
Oh, is he the commentator or something? There you go. How will we end it on that?
There you go.
It's
TNA.
yes, everything ends with TNA. I'm sure. I'm sure once we're done with the invasion in the upcoming months,
TNA.
we may visit TNA because
the company that keeps giving.
I watched a little bit on my dodgy box the other day of a live TNA pay-per-view, and it was the Sting Abyss. Let's lower a coffin from the.
Oh, that's right.
We're going to be watching. I'm telling you,
They did that again recently.
I watched most of that pay-per-view.
No,
Fuck me, there's a lot of stips and shit. That's when Angle fights Steiner in that. And 3 minutes in, Steiner's fucked. He's completely.
When he does the backflip and he don't want to let
That's
go.
the finish.
I'm watching it.
Yeah,
we are watching that.
Yeah.
Because that's when they do the Fire Russo thing.
Yeah.
The main event's
Is
quite
it
good because
Destination
it's Christian Cage versus Samoa Joe.
Mm.
But other than that, the whole card is just a mess of stipulation on top of a stipulation on top of a stipulation. And do the elevated X
Elevation, yeah.
where a bit before it, the babyface goes, I'm fucking scared of that.
Rhino Age.
Shoot,
Rhino
Rhino
Age,
James.
yeah.
I thought you were trying to James Storm.
That's
They did one.
No, it's Rhino AJ. But before it, Rhino basically says he's scared, which takes the whole breath from the match. Oh God, we will be back for plenty.
You're a war machine.
Yeah, we will be back for plenty of TNA. I love it because I watched it, and God, there's so many good especially when I compare TNA, you know that the episode
amazing.
before Destination X, was it? Got 1.7 million viewers on Spike TV. Obviously, I know there's a difference now of 10 years, so maybe there's an element.
They always used to get about 1 point odd.
But that means, in theory, they would have been getting comparable ratings with AEW.
AEW,
Had they kept that, it would have been more than some of the Raws recently. You look at the roster, it's just brilliant. Some of the wrestling, the way they look, they're so terrible.
That's the problem with it. The roster was amazing in terms of
It's
the young
just
stars
Russo.
and the plethora of older stars that they had. The booking was so bad.
Is you had
I just
Russo
love that
doing
company.
it, but the filter, unfortunately, was dodgy because it was Dixie Carter who was the filter who didn't filter.
Well, they did. I mean, I've heard Jeff Jarrett say on his podcast that the problem with Russo is he started to book for this Dixie Carter. It wasn't that he was just booking for Russo, which was a bit crass, but he could book something that was good. But he started booking for Dixie. It was like, because actually, you know, the road agents and the person who was booking the Abyss stuff was Dutch Mantel. So I don't know whether he was still then. but that means when they were shouting Fire Russo, it was Dutch Mantel.
No, Dutch always says it wore him who booked.
Yeah, he said he.
Because nobody ever chanted Fire
All right.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
right.
gotta
I
take
kind of
credit
believe
for the
Dutch
shit that
Mantel
you
because he would say anybody who says he did it.
I don't know about that, but I've heard on Jarrett's podcast where he said when there's like a 4-man team, him, Dutch, Russo, and someone else.
Cornet was there.
Probably was Cornet, and they said they basically took the roster and they had their own storylines, and one of the things was Abyss. Abyss's character was Dutch, and he said that, or I think it might have been Conrad said that there was a backstage rumours at the time that Abyss just used to follow Dutch everywhere, basically, and had no confidence in himself and stuff. So it made me think when I saw it, I was thinking, oh, this is a bit harsh on Russo, then that it weren't him. But if Dutch is saying...
I think he did come up with the concept of put a massive fucking coffin in the ring and no one could work around.
But didn't the build to that involved? Because I watched a bit of the build. It was like I thought it was going to be a deathbed match or something where they had to put him on a bed or something. That I'm sure that was
they fucked it up because of the work in the match and the break the coffin to where the core put him in it.
Yeah, so he's just lying on it.
And he's gushing of blood because they used that candle thing and...
he got cut the hard way.
And
Sting.
Like there was tombstones there, but
once I saw that, I just thought
heavy tombstones where Abyss really sells it, and then Sting just picks it up.
And I watched it, and I just thought, I hate Sting, so we've got to do this because I'm going to sound off for fucking hours about how terrible Sting is in this.
It is like a peak TNA shit.
But it's actually got such a big buy rate, like for them, like you've got to really.
You're going to want to watch it, I want to watch this because this is going to be fucking amazing.
It's 2007 or
yeah.
So we will be back definitely to be checking out some TNA goodness, and of course. My birthday is coming up, so I will be dusting off the time machine before we go into next year, where you will have complete and utter control over the podcast, and you can pick any angle or any person you want to do a full podcast on. So we might be doing Bloody Mania. Whether you like it or not.
We'll be doing something.
And Greg.
And Abdullah.
Oh, Jesus. Did no one learn?
I'll go with the clip.
He might become a podcast boy.
MVP.
We might do a podcast on Pogo the Clown.
Oh dear, sir.
Oh dear.
It's going to be great.
Baby! Oh, no, what am I on about there? He didn't come out to...
we might do a podcast on Moolah.
Oh, baby!
I might do that.
Oh, God.
But there you have it, folks. But do let us know what you thought of Sam's time machine options on our website, which is bettercallcreative.com, our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/BCCpod, or our Twitter, which is @BCCpod. We are ready then for 101 as we are heading to the King of the Ring 1994 to check out how the new generation was headlined by a man 43 fighting a man 45 in the main event. And then we will be starting our Invasion arc from Invasion through to Survivor Series. So that's something to look forward to. In it, how can we? No one can rebook it as bad as they did. Surely, may feature.
But more the caveat as well. We can only bring in one, like buy the contract of one per month.
But you can use anyone that was on development. So Wee and Reno.
You think I was bad,
Mike Saunders might be the main bloke.
Above average.
You might get him, and then I'm going to bring in Oakland. Just to have a go at him.
What about the cat?
Piss out.
Yeah, the cat was...
he was on commentary for a bit, and then he randomly wrestled and then left.
I've got a list of the people who were...
Make it better by bringing in the cat.
There wasn't that many on the AOL contracts, though, when you think... Because obviously when we're taking over, Booker T and DDPs have already been bought out, so we ain't got to worry about them.
I'm going to assume we keep Rhino's injury as well, which...
Yeah, he was injured before.
What about Buff?
So good at that point.
What about Bob?
Because
he just got sacked.
They hadn't had the match yet.
But he'd agreed to sell his contract. So you can have Buff. You can let you have Buff. Keep the Buff.
He agreed to sell his contract and they went, fuck him off.
Totally Buff. That's where he's going. That's why he's bringing Lex Luger in. Lie in that ring for Taker and Kane.
Oh my God.
Here we go.
You're making it worse, you know.
I am second guessed the Luger thing, to be honest. He might make an appearance.
I'm going to have him as my champ. But there you have it, folks. So do join us from July as we take on 4 or 5 episodes of The Invasion. But that leaves me to say from Jack Chan.
Goodbye.
And from our birthday boy, Sam Chan.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, folks.